I'm 30 years old and I'm learning how to dunk. Most people think that dunking at 30 is impossible, but so far in my journey, I've gone from this to this. That's a 6-inch increase and I'm getting close to yamming off the dribble. I'm Skylar Parsonet, a certified personal trainer, and I've been coaching myself and others for over 10 years. Now, I'm focusing those efforts on learning how to dunk. So far in my journey, I've gone from a general phase to a max strength phase. Now it's time to get specific. I'm shifting away from general plyometrics and high frequency lower body training. Now, it's all about dialing in my full approach jumps. And I needed to be dunking before ski season starts, where I'll have less time and energy to train. My max strength phase focused on fast eccentric and amortization phases under heavy loads. For a squat, this means controlling the downward portion and exploding out of the bottom. This phase improved the effectiveness of my penultimate step, so I can actually use the energy I generate instead of losing it. Before, I was like a baseball, hitting the ground with a thud.
Baby. Oh, and to catch that? On the fly, and baby's fine.
Now, I'm training to be a tennis ball, where I hit the ground and spring right back up. Now that I've built the strength to handle those forces of a jump, it's time to teach my body to generate those forces consistently. To do that, I had to change my schedule. In training, the thing that you do when you're freshest is the most effective for creating adaptation. So instead of lifting Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and jumping at the end of the week, I'll be jumping Mondays and Thursdays and lifting on Tuesdays and Fridays. By jumping when I'm freshest, I can hone my technique and make even greater vertical gains. In my last video, I showed how I was working on my technique. I figured gradually adding steps would help me keep good technique while improving my speed. I start with a 1-step approach, then 2-step, and so on until I built up to a full speed 5-step approach. That was the plan, until one day I decided to try something new. I just put down my camera and walked straight to the basket and jumped. It ended up being one of my highest jumps to date. Now, I'm continuing to speed up my approach, but most of my jumps start with walking into it before building up speed right at the end. In my case, walking into the approach is the new meta. Now that I'm only lifting 2 days a week, I have to make sure that every exercise is focused on one thing, making me jump higher. I strip my training down to the essentials, cutting out anything that wasn't directly improving my vertical. I start every session with an explosive movement like power cleans and then move on to heavy squats and hinges. Lastly, I do a few sets of calves to build strength and keep my Achilles healthy. This setup has kept me progressing in the gym, but it's at a slower pace than when I was lifting more frequently. As for my upper body, I cut volume even more. I needed to ensure that I wasn't fatiguing myself too much from upper body lifts, so I could focus more of my energy towards jumping. With ski season coming up quickly, I couldn't leave any stone unturned. I picked just a couple key areas to improve and left the rest at maintenance volume. One day, I woke up and decided I was gonna try to do a 1-arm pull-up. And surprisingly, I could do it, but only with my right arm. So I figured, why not train until I can do it on both? I've been using 3 main movements to help me get there. Doing 1-arm pull-ups on a weight-assisted machine, so it takes some of your body weight off of you and helps you up. Hand-assisted 1-arm pull-up, and good old-fashioned weighted pull-ups. With 1-arm pull-ups and my bench press, I have no timetable for when I want to achieve this goal, so I'm able to keep volumes and intensities low. Speaking of the bench press, after a long break of not barbell benching, I decided I was going to get my bench back up over 315. This fit perfectly into my training because, as I said before, I have no set deadline. So I took my time, working at lower volumes and intensities, rarely going over an RPE 8. Let me know in the comments if you want a deeper dive into my upper body training and how I incorporate it into my dunk training. The last, and possibly the most important piece I've incorporated into my training this last mesocycle is isometrics. More jumping meant more strain on my knees than I've ever felt before. To counter this, I've been using isometrics to increase blood flow and strengthen my tendons. My favorite isometrics are reverse Nordic holds, is what I'm doing now. I do them for 4 sets of 45 seconds, and they work really well for people with quad tendinopathy, which is something that I tend to get if I overtrain. When you're doing isometrics, make sure that you're not adding too much strain. You don't want to be all the way back here doing these and really struggling. This should feel like a 40% effort, just enough to really get some good blood flow through the muscle and some work out of those muscles and tendons. So 45 seconds, all done. While these are working great for me, any quad-focused isometric would probably help. Not only have isometrics been a game changer for my knees, but they've also kept me in the game with rock climbing. Since I'm prioritizing dunking right now, I've also cut back on climbing. But using low effort hangs, I've been able to maintain my finger strength and keep climbing at the same level. For more info on the hangs I'm using, check out the study linked in the description. So where am I at now? I've put in months of work, jumping, lifting, and refining my technique. I got stronger, my approach feels smoother, and I'm jumping higher than ever. But at the end of this training block, I'm still not quite there. I'm starting my ski season now, which means splitting my focus for the next couple of months. I knew dunking wouldn't be a quick process, and I made a lot of progress, but I'm still not quite there yet. Stay tuned for the next episode, where I'll show you how I balance skiing and training while still improving my vertical. Now go out there and peak your potential.